Flash had suspected that his old friend's behavior had something to do with the fact that they all missed Earth. It had been nearly 3 months since they had left Earth orbit, and more than once Flash had caught himself daydreaming about blue skies, green grass, azure oceans, and New Los Angeles perched precariously but beautifully at the edge of the L.A. Rim Sea. They all wanted to go home. They all wanted to forget about the war that had been going on now for 100,000 years, and yet they could not. Somehow, through a seemingly impossible chain of events, they had been pulled into this millennium's-old struggle, and now they were so firmly ensnared that they could not extricate themselves until it was finished. And yet Zarkov's behavior over the past couple of days, and especially earlier this evening at their meal, could not be explained so easily on reflection. That behavior was what had been bothering Flash. His aging mentor was not merely homesick for Earth. The old man was frightened. Flash came to a sweep tube and stepped into the wide, circular glass opening. His body was propelled swiftly through the clear tunnel, but with no sensation of speed. It was another of the technological marvels aboard the Ultimus that not even Zarkov could put a name to, let alone understand. A minute later, Flash was deposited at the edge of the control center, fully 10 kilometers from his sleeping quarters. Each time he had come here over the past 6 days, the effect had been the same. The awesomeness of this chamber took his breath away. The Ultimus was a vast starship, at least 50 kilometers in diameter, and consisted of a number of thick disks stacked atop each other, each of them sloping sharply inward. The entire thing was topped by a huge white dome, which was shadowed by 2 immense shells that looked like high-energy radar dishes turned on edge. Other smaller shells in pairs were located at various other levels, and the entire vessel bristled with antennae, ports, wide hatches, balconies, walkways, and protuberances that appeared to be laser-lance cannons. The control center in which Flash now stood was vast beyond belief, shaped like a gigantic sphere. Far overhead, the dome's ceiling was clear, and he could see much of the ship's superstructure, as well as the huge defense shields towering their way into a star-studded backdrop. Every several hundred meters around the perimeter of the huge chamber at the level Flash was standing were other sweep tube terminals, providing transport from all parts of the ship. And below him, the lower part of the huge sphere was filled with tens of thousands of acceleration couches in rows and tiers, like a vast auditorium, all facing a great circular dais at the lowest part of the chamber. Flash moved forward, off the walkway, and leaned against the back of one of the uppermost seats. Far below him, the dais was bathed in a dull red glow, and he could just barely make out a solitary figure moving from one control console to another. It was Zarkov. But what he was doing here at this time of night was a mystery. They were at least 24 hours out of Citadel 1, and the vast ship was on automatic astrogation control. There was no reason for the scientist to be on the dais. The huge overhead dome went suddenly opaque, and an instant later, an oddly shaped grid overlay appeared on its inner surface. A series of figures and diagrams marched across the pattern. For several long seconds, Flash could do nothing more than stare in wonder at the strange display, which kept shifting at a dizzying speed until it struck him that what he was watching was some kind of a game. The onboard syllogistic computer was playing some sort of search and identify game on the inner surface of the dome, and at this moment was apparently working for a solution. Flash moved around to the front of the acceleration couch he had been leaning against and sat down. Instantly, a display panel locked into place in front of him, its monitoring units alive with flashing lights, duplicating a section of the program that was going on overhead. "Flash?" Dr. Zarkov's voice came to Flash, apparently a few centimeters overhead. "Is that you?" "Yes, it is," Flash said softly. "I'm up top near our sweep tube. I thought you'd be in your quarters." There was a moment of silence. "Thought the girls with you?" Zarkov asked. "No, they're in their rooms. I couldn't sleep." The overhead pattern blossomed into a huge orange burst, and then was gone. A moment later, another, even more complex gridwork filled the vast dome, and a new series of diagrams and figures raced across it. "What's going on, Doc? What are you searching for?" "I think you'd better come down here," Zarkov said, and even over the ship's comm, Flash could hear the same note of concern he had noticed in the old man's voice at dinner. "What's wrong?" "I don't know, but I have a fair idea. And if it's what I think it is, we're in for some serious trouble." "I'm on my way," Flash said. He swung his display panel forward until it disappeared into the back of the acceleration couch ahead of his, then got up and started down the wide aisle that led to the dais where central control of the warship was maintained.